Hello everyone, this is quite some time we did a writing video, so let's go on with our harmful writing advice videos. And today I'm talking about everybody's favorite show don't tell. In case you're new or you haven't watched those videos for quite some time, the videos in this series, Harmful Writing Advice, is about some very great pieces of advice that are often used because they work. They sometimes have some unintended misuse because they're so ubiquitous. In other words, everybody's saying to do that and they don't know what they mean, and it may backfire. And so don't tell is a favorite. I mean, if you have a channel on YouTube that is related to writing, then you've probably done a video about show don't tell. If you haven't, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? So let's go with show don't tell, and this phrase is attributed to Russian playwright Anton Chekhov, who is reputed to have said, "Don't tell me the moon is shining, show me the glint of light on broken glass," which translates from Russian to modern internet English, "Don't be fucking lazy." And the concept of show don't tell works because you reward the reader with letting them deduce what is happening through actions, dialogue, and descriptions of the environment. For instance, instead of saying Charlie was sad, you say that Charlie's cheeks were still wet with his tears, and you have a vivid picture of how sad Charlie is. I think I said Charlie and then it's an example. If not, edit it to Charlie. I'm bad with names. So the idea is that you skip some of the boring so and so was so and so, and instead you find an original way to present them. You give drama, you give oomph to your writing, and this is very important if you want to keep your reader engaged, because you paint a vivid picture for them and they like them. And the description doesn't have to be some uber descriptive stuff. Instead, it can be some, can be minimal, but paint a picture. However, there is one huge problem with show don't tell, and this is the nature of authors and the fact that authors are fucking lazy. So even this long sentence that Chekhov said has been abbreviated to show don't tell, because they're fucking lazy, and because we're lazy, we'll find ways to make the good, interesting stuff into boring, tropey, repetitive stuff. I mean, there is this great pet peeve of mine, the reflection in the mirror. What do I mean? We start our novel, it's a urban fantasy novel, and our kick-ass female demon slayer is sneaking into the evil demon lord's abode, and so as she is sneaking through the dark corridors, she stops, she sees a mirror, she stops and she looks at herself, at her Lucius black hair and her buxom hourglass figure, and yes, it was written by a man, alright? Or if it was written by a human, she makes sure that it includes every brand of every piece of clothing she's wearing. And also there is this tendency of getting info dumps and masquerading them as very boring expository dialogue. And yes, it will be a noisy video. I don't know what sounds are you hearing, but things are crazy right now in the house and there's a lot of noise, I know. Maybe you hear nothing if I can edit this video in a decent way. And this creates two problems. Problem number one is that there's a lot of bloat, meaning that there are too many words that are dedicated to minutiae, to showing us stuff that are not important, to make things that could have been said in one paragraph take over pages and pages of descriptions and scenes and actions, and that means that the important stuff get lost in this sea of words, in this word vomit of showing, don't telling. So you have to know when to show and when to tell in order to do show don't tell. And the second problem with show don't tell, with using scenes to give us any information, is that sometimes you have some unintended outcomes. For example, I said about the demon hunter who looks herself in the mirror. She is in the middle of going into the lair of the big villain, and what she does is look herself in the mirror. I mean, bitch, you're too vain. And also, think of it, what kind of a character starts with an "as you know," and then recapping a ton of information that our characters do know. Believe me, there are people like that, but when you meet them, they're insufferable. So make sure that the character who does that actually is the kind of character who will do that. I know people in real life who talk in exposition. Believe me, they're not fun. Just for laughs, let's see what Chekhov actually said. He wrote a letter to his brother, and he said that in description of nature, one must seize on small details, grouping them so that when the reader closes his eyes, he gets a picture. For instance, you'll have a moonlit night if you write that on the mill dam a piece of glass from a broken bottle glittered like a bridal star, and that the black shadow of a dog or a wolf rolled past like a ball. So yes, what he said is don't be fucking lazy. And I agree with that, don't be fucking lazy. So instead of going into some so don't tell, make sure you know what you show, make sure what you tell, and just do that and have your book, your piece of fiction rolling and keeping the readers engaged. Because so don't tell means keep your reader engaged and make sure you give them the important stuff in an interesting way. And if you don't do that, you're doing it wrong. So I'd love to hear your opinions about Show Don't Tell. Do you love the rule? Do you live by the rule? Do you hate the rule? Again, let me say that details not be visual. They can work for a smell, taste, sound, feel, everything. Just showing some actions of people or what they say. They can paint a very strong picture. For instance, you don't have to say that the air was cold. You can say that people on the square were keeping their coats tight. That gives you an idea, and they're working faster to get to get back to their houses. And that creates a vivid image of a cold city where you can imagine that they exhale clouds of steam because of the cold. And you can feel the cold because you have seen that, unless you live somewhere very warm. Okay? But that's the idea of Show Don't Tell. Give us a detail that will paint the entire picture, basically, and don't just say, oh, it was cold. So, love to hear your comments about this, and as always, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.